Hello, Renegade World, my Power Ranger friends and family. Welcome to another episode of Morphin Monday. Sorry, I'm looking down because I almost spilled my water. Morphin Monday is the Power Ranger. Man, I'm all out of sync today. Morphin Monday is the Power Ranger show where me, Louie, shows you, audience, how I paint Power Rangers for that wonderful game that we all love called Heroes of the Grid. Let's see what is going on here. Can everybody hear and see me okay? We got some new internet here at the house, and I just want to make sure that everything is running smoothly. It seems to be okay-ish on my end, but all of my windows look weird. Okay, there we go. Boom, let's go down to the table. Here we are. We are painting Blue Time Force. Let's get a nice zoom in on him. Super cool model. I picked this one out instead of just doing a poll this week. I don't know, I was feeling blue, and I knew people would be excited about the Blue Ranger. So here he is. Now, what color blue are we going to start with? Of course, we have washed this miniature with soap and water, let it dry, and then spray painted it with Wraithbone spray from Citadel. Someone asked, are we going to use Pro Acryl blue colors? You know what? That's a great idea. I wasn't going to, but I think we should today. So let's dive right in with Pro Acryl blue. Now, for those who do not have access to Pro Acryls, definitely get them because they're great. But if you don't have access to Pro Acryls, I would probably do like a Cantor blue from Games Workshop, Citadel. They're pretty close. The Pro Acryl blue is a little more vibrant. You could also go with a Cantor blue if you want like a little bit darker of a blue. But I feel like last week we did, or in the last episode when we did the Quantum Ranger, I feel like we did the Quantum Ranger in kind of a dark red, so let's go with a bright blue. Just to shake things up as I shake my bottle. See, pun intended, guys, pun intended. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Monday. I would ask you how your week is going. But unless you work in a backwards kind of week, which maybe you do, that blue is barely visible there. Let me move that up. That's the blue I just put on there. Yeah, so unless you're working off of a different schedule than I am, which is entirely possible. Trying to decide which brush to use. I think I'm going to use like a medium to smallish brush. This brush for a while now has been my go-to brush. I really, really want to find a good place to get Raphael brushes from in the U.S. because they are really difficult to get. This one that I have has just was not fun to find. All right, so we're just getting in it with this blue. You can already see I'm going to like this color a lot. Definitely going to need at least 2 coats, I think. I love working with these Pro Acryls so much. They just go on like butter, so smooth. Very minimal effort needed when you're working with these Pro Acryls, especially when it comes to like your brush strokes and stuff. I don't know why I always start with the pants. I've noticed when I paint Rangers, I usually start with the pants. I mean, I guess I did a little bit on the chest, but then I immediately went back to my safety zone, which is the pants, apparently. Especially when it comes to Rangers. I don't know why I do that. Normally, when I'm, like, showing people how to paint stuff, whether it be on my streams or whatever, I usually tell people, like, the most, I guess, you know, beginner tip that I could give is, like, start from the center of the model and work your way out. It's just something I learned really early on, and it's been very helpful for me. So under normal circumstances, when you're painting a miniature whose face you can see, like a human or just whatever, basically not a helmeted character, I guess. I always start with the face. The skin tone on the face, I feel like maybe it just sets the kind of the tone and the momentum for the miniature. But with Rangers, it's the pants. Is it because there's usually less detail on the pants? Maybe. Maybe I'm just trying to pick the biggest surface to start getting the color on, you know. The color looks a little more pastel in my camera, so I don't know if you're seeing that. But it's definitely more vibrant in person. I don't know why it looks so. The color might be getting washed out. Let's see. Oh, that's too dark. What about if I change it to? No, that makes it too yellowy. But maybe it is because there's less detail on the pants. That's a good point. That is a good point. I like the pose of this model because there's not really too many parts that are going to be difficult to reach just because of how his pose is, which is nice. Sometimes, especially with Rangers miniatures, because of their pose, their arms and stuff go in front of their body, and sometimes it makes things difficult to reach. But the way he's got his arm holding the sword kind of up onto his shoulder, it makes painting his arms much easier than some other miniatures. So we're still just using this Pro Acryl blue. Like I said, you can use Cantor blue. You could use what was the other one? Calidor Sky. That's what it's called. That's the color I've used on Blue Rangers in the past, is that Calidor Sky. But we don't use the Pro Acryls as much as we should, so let's give it a go. And I'm glad that we suggested that, because it really is quite a fun paint so far. I just love painting with the color blue. It's one of my favorite colors to paint with. I like painting blues and purples. It's probably my favorite to paint. I used to really like painting red also. But then I started playing this game competitively called Guild Ball. And in Guild Ball, I played a team called the Butchers, which was all red, basically. Lots and lots of red. And while I enjoyed doing that, it's just one of those colors, like gold, I guess, that I have gotten burnt out on over the years. I'm not a fan of painting gold. Hence why my Mega Gold R is sitting in gray plastic on my shelf. Because I don't like painting gold. Not after you've been a Space Marine player and a Stormcast Eternals player. And everything is gold, basically. Which I guess should make me want to hate painting blue, right? Because I painted so many Ultramarines. But for some reason I don't. I think in this case it's because it's a different shade of blue, right? Ultramarines are an ultramarine blue. It's much darker than this. Somebody is walking in heels above my head upstairs. I think it's my daughter. I think she's trying on her homecoming dress. Somebody is very clunky up there. Every day, I thank goodness that every time I stream, you guys can't hear the noises that go on upstairs, because they are quite wild between the kids and the dogs and the vacuum cleaner and the washer and dryer. Like, any sound that's upstairs just gets like, just shakes the very foundation. Blue is easier to paint on than gold, I guess. That is true. My mistake when I got into, like, with the other thing too is when I painted Ultramarines, I painted I used a blue spray paint as a primer. So there was more room for error, I guess. It made the painting process faster. Whereas when I did Stormcast Eternals, dummy me just primed everything in... I probably primed everything in white, honestly. It could have been black, I guess, but I should have just bought a gold spray paint. They do make them. It's just the Games Workshop ones are like $10 more than their other spray paints. And their other spray paints are already like $20 a can. So when you're paying upwards of close to $30 for a can of primer, and you have an entire army to paint, I guess I was just being cheap, wanted to save a buck. Or in this case, a lot of bucks. I do need to look up a picture of his swords. I looked at it earlier and I couldn't remember. I can't remember now what they look like. I did notice that he doesn't have a holster like the Quantum Ranger does, but then I looked at the Green Time Force Ranger and he doesn't have a holster either, so apparently it was just the Quantum Ranger that had a holster. Probably because he's the only one with a pistol. Or with a sidearm. I shouldn't call it a pistol. with a sidearm. Yeah, didn't you say the Quantum Ranger was kind of a jerk? I think somebody said that. Get some more blue here. I really needed to clean my palette today, and I didn't. I even thought about it too, and I was like, it'll be alright. And I was a little wrong. Does it look really pastel on the stream? On my screen it does, but I never know like how accurate the color is of my screen versus, you know, what you see. More Smurf than pastel. I'm gonna have to play with my saturation, I think. Probably being way too careful with this helmet. I think the last two I just literally painted the whole helmet in one color and then broke it down from there. Which you can totally do. That's actually what I recommend, not doing what I'm doing right now. It's always half the helmet, right? Kind of. It's like... Still just using that, sorry, I got that off. Now I did it again. So I take back what I said earlier about his helmet, or about him being easy access to all of the little bits, because that's not true. So I'm just going to paint most of it blue. And then fix it. Fix it in post. We will fix it in post. If you do it like... Oh, it's the whole... This whole thing gets painted. I don't know why I thought it was different. And then... Basically right about there. I don't know what I was thinking. I think that's as much of the helmet as gets blue. I'm just going to go around with that blue, Pro Acryl blue, and just make sure that all the blue that I want to be blue is blue. All the blue that I want to be blue is blue. Because I don't think that I'm going to do a shade. Maybe I will do a shade, because the other ones, the other two where I used, yeah, I will do a shade. That'll slow down the painting process, but it'll be worth it. I'm going to use a blue wash. If you don't have a blue wash, then I would use a black wash and maybe dilute it just a little bit with water or thinner, whatever you have access to. Water is perfectly acceptable. forget his collar. His collar is blue. That goes around. That's pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. So if you do have some Drakenhof Nightshade is a very good blue wash. If you don't want it to be very dark, which I don't want it to be very dark, oh my goodness. I dropped the paint. If you don't want it to be super dark, which I do not, you need a medium or water. If you don't have a medium, I have Lahamium medium, which that's exactly what it is. I'm going to use a big brush since I'm doing so much of the miniature. You can mix them separately. I just mix them together. So usually with these paint pots, when you lift it up, there's some liquid in there. So I just take the medium, load it up on my brush, and I just put it in there like that. You definitely want to make sure that it goes into concentrated areas around the separation between the, what you painted blue and the stuff that's not going to be painted blue, which is basically everything that's currently white. Except maybe the swords. I don't know if the swords, I really need to look that up. If my palette was a little bit cleaner, I would probably mix the medium and stuff on the palette, but my palette's a mess, so I'm just doing Old Faithful. This is what I've done for a long time. Never had an issue. Just take your time. It'll be alright. And if it's not alright, it's just paint. It's just paint. Does dropping the paint make it lighter? You're so funny. You do what you can, and then I will do what I must. You will try. Oh, wow. I'm very sorry. That was... My brain today. That was not a funny joke, and I made it sound like it was gonna be funny, and my delivery was all wrong. All right. Let's let those dry for a moment. Making sure that everything looks pretty even. All right, I'm going to look up his swords. Who is this guy? This is blue. Time Force. Are they swords? I'm just going to put swords and see what comes up. So they look clear almost. I see now that they're that blaster. So it's this thing, it looks like. So looking back at green, right? The arrow that's there in green's hands, it's the same arrow symbol on the blades here. So painting this right here, this almost looks clear to me. I'm just going to do it silver like the rest of it. With black, that's like a deluxe weapon. Time Force Mega Deluxe. I don't know why it has a Cobra thing on it. Okay. That's not overly complicated. I'm not going to... Oh, it looks like they all have one. Oh, I probably just should have looked at that. So there is blue. My mom and my sister. So there's blue on the tip of the sword thing. So... I'm going to do the whole thing in silver first, and then we'll go from there. So let's start working on our... Let's start working on our silvers. I used lead belcher for the other ones, so I'm going to use lead belcher for this. Just because I don't want things to be different or to look different. Especially if they're all on the table together. Man, I have like no room. I think this is where silver was last time, so I'll just put it over the silver. And I probably should use a small brush, not a big brush. Let's see here. What froze for a while this stream? Was it just the screen or everything? And how long was it out for? I only asked because we got newish internet, and so I need to make sure that it's Twitch and not me. Like, if it was only like 5-10 seconds, then that's perfectly normal. I am doing a giveaway. I actually do have a copy, an extra copy. And I just haven't worked out the details of when. I wanted to do it. I wanted to start it this week. But I've just had some things come up, and I haven't been able to really do that yet. But I have run a giveaway before, so don't think that I just said that I'm going to, and I won't. I will do it. I just don't have an exact date that's going to start. But again, you can follow my socials and stuff, and because that's where it's going to be posted. Is on my IG. So. No, I have, I just have an extra. I'm not giving mine away. You can't have mine. I really wish that... kind of lost my train of thought. I was going to say something about the positioning, and then I was like, there's kind of nothing wrong with the positioning. The positioning of my hand and how I'm holding the miniature. Having to be uber careful on this part of the sword because it's touching his shoulder, and I don't want to get anything on his shoulder. It's frustrating. It always frustrates me when I get to kind of this stage of the model where I've already started putting shade and stuff on, and then I make big mistakes that I have to clean up. Like, little mistakes is one thing, but if it's a big mistake, like I got a big old streak of silver across the miniature or something, that would take some real effort to redo. That always frustrates me. And it happens, right? I mean, it's happened to all of us. Cool. All right, let's see what else we got here. That's silver. These things here. It'll be awesome when all of the Time Force is done. One of my favorite miniatures since I've started painting this game to paint was Time Force Pink. And so having the whole team together will be really cool. Matter of fact, I have Time Force Pink over here from way back when. Pretty sure I painted her on stream. And you can tell a huge difference between how I painted her and how I painted some of the other ones. I never even finished her. You can tell from the base. And you can also tell from the blaster. Like, I never brightened up this blaster. So, like, she totally needs to be worked on. And I need to do her base the way that I've been doing the other ones. Because when I painted her, I didn't do it like this. So... But that was also a really long time ago. But, I mean, I realize she's an important character in the Shattered Grid. So, you know, they needed to put her in there. It just, you know, took a while to get the Time Force expansion to put her in there. You say that, but I've actually started sitting next to me. I have 3 miniatures. Literally, I'm looking right at them next to me that I set aside a couple of days ago. That, like, I'm gonna do a stream where I'm just gonna finish painting these. And she's number 4. The other 3 are next to me, and Pink is number 4, so that I can make her closer resemble the paint style that I'm using on these. There's just only so much you can do in 2 hours. And I like to put love into every miniature I paint. Some more lead belcher. So far we've only used 2 colors and a shade. If you're just now joining us, we used this Pro Acryl blue. That was for all of the blue. And then we used lead belcher, which is what we're using now for all the silver bits. And we used Drachnov Nightshade, which is a shade / wash, whatever you want to call it, from Games Workshop. And those are the only colors that we have used so far, which is cool. that stripe down the center of the helmet. Man, my phone is blowing up. If it's my wife, then it's urgent, because she's just so nice. She wouldn't text me when I'm streaming unless it was important. Which means I should check it and make sure it's not her. Looks like all that shade dried already, which is crazy. It dries so much faster on the matte finished models, like Pro Acryls. It was not my wife. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. What do we gotta do next? I think we go into the black next. I do have to find a spot for the German gray, you're right. I don't think I'm gonna do it on the I think we're gonna use black for most of it, because I used black on the other stuff. So things like the belt and the helmet and all that, we will use the black. But I will find a spot for German gray in there somewhere. Gotta put my signature on it. You can use any black. I'm using Abaddon black from Citadel, literally because it's the closest one to me at the moment. If I'd have seen the Vallejo black at first, I'd have picked that up. Although I know that I have been favoring Abaddon black as of late. But it literally doesn't matter. They're nearly identical. So I always say, like, when people are painting, like, use your black and your white and your silver of choice, right? Because they're all pretty similar, to the point where, like, you just do whatever you think looks nicest or feels nicest to you while you're painting. But with that in mind, I personally don't usually use too much black or too much white. I use German gray for my blacks and Althuan gray for my whites most of the time. After all the high praise I gave this black, and now it's really, like, not cooperating for me at all. It could be my palette, too. Hey, Mosafet. Mosafet. I like that name. I like Mosafet. It's a cool name. This black is not working. The stripe. So the stripe that runs down the center of the helmet is silver, but the stripe that runs the outline of the face mask around to the back, that is white. So for example, on Quantum here, you see the visor and everything is white, but then the stripe down the center is silver. That's what we did. That is what we did. We're doing our little outlines around the boot cuffs here. This little trim around these boot cuffs is not fun to paint at all. Hindsight being what it is, my recommendation is to make things a little easier and look a little cleaner. Maybe paint the entire cuff black first, and then just paint the black or the silver part when you're done. When you're done with the black. Because doing it in this order, it just doesn't look as clean to me. I wish I had cleaned my palette, yo. There's just no space for these colors that I need. It's too dry over there. Ooh, man. Gotta clean off my brush. I think I need to use something a little smaller. This one should be good. It's weird. There's a little part of silver here that didn't, like, I know I put paint there. Just didn't stick at all. Apparently I didn't put paint there. Okay, there we go. Let's see, black is in place, silver is in place, although I am going to do some stuff here. Oh, that's silver, never mind, ignore me. I know I still got to do some white. Alright, let's grab some black. And we're going to do some of the details here on the silver. You just use the side of your brush, you can just pick up the raised details. I made a tiny boo-boo, but I can fix that. I want to color that in black. I don't like that it's silver. It drives me crazy. I think I have an idea for this sword, maybe. Like I said, I can fix all those little boo-boos in just a second. It's easier to probably do what I'm doing. I mean, if you have a steady hand, then by all means don't. Just skip this part of what I'm doing. I really want the blades to be nice, you know? Sabers, whatever we're calling them right now. I wasn't gonna use the wash, but I think I might. So if you're struggling like I am, I'll explain in just a second. Yeah, if you want the ard coat to have a nice sheen to it, or if you want the ard coat, if you want the sabers to have a nice sheen to them, but see there, I used the side of my brush, and if you notice, it got these little feathery things. So rather than, normally what I would do is I would fill all of the little cracks and crevices with shade, and then I would paint the rest silver. But in this case, what I think I want to do is almost like a dry brush, where I'm catching the raised edges of all that stuff with the black. Although that looks kind of terrible. So ignore me for a minute. I'm just playing around with stuff. Don't do anything until I'm done. I mean, you do what you want. I shouldn't say it like that. You do you. You do you. So I used the side of my brush to catch the line in the middle. And now I'm just using silver again to fix all those little leaflets. Because I didn't like how it looked. But I was going to say, do what I was doing. But I think now that I've seen how it looks, I should have done it first and then explained what I had done. Oh my gosh. I just do not have a steady hand today. That looks pretty good. It looks a lot better than it did. Grabbing some of my original blue to paint just this sword's tip, because it has a slightly different tip than the other one. So, now that I am a little more relaxed at this part of the stream because I'm not freaking out about detail. I feel like I have a lot more attention span at the moment. So, why don't we go around the room? How's everybody feeling out there? How was everyone's first day of the week? First full weekday of the calendar, of the fiscal year. Or I guess the first, because I guess the first, October 1st was on Saturday. So I guess today is the first work day of the fiscal year. Which maybe not everybody knows what that is. So maybe I shouldn't say it, because it's not relevant to the audience. A day together with Bestie sounds lovely. Sounds lovely. Man, those swords just look a little blah, huh? I mean, I know there's other details on them, but I almost feel like they need a wash, like a blue wash over all the sword. I think we're gonna do that. I'm gonna grab that blue wash, and I'm going to put the blue wash in all of its full gloss glory, full wash glory, over both the swords. I think I'm going to enjoy that. Give a tint to the, because like I said, the sword has some transparent features, so which is nigh impossible to get onto the miniature. So I have to do something to the sword to make it look a little more interesting. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know how I want it to look to make it interesting. So I'm trying various different things. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you think that I should paint them pink. I'm going to throw the blue on there, and then what I'll probably end up doing is some dry brushing at the end to make it look not blue. I'm having to use I wanted to paint this the same color blue anyway. Alright. Alright, I need to grab some white. Or in my case, Althuan gray. You know, I could probably move the nickel and use that little corner down there. Okay. The problem with the Yellow Ranger is that giant cannon that she has on her shoulder. It just obstructs a lot of things on the miniature. So that's where the challenge will be there. But you're right, definitely a yellow wash. Let it dry completely and then hit it with a dry brush and you're most of the way there. This part of the miniature is pretty easy because I'm just kind of brightening up the white that's already there from the I don't know what I'm saying. I'm hecka distracted by these. Switching to a smaller brush. Yeah, I really want to paint gosh, did I just get it on myself? No. I really wanted to paint the Time Force Red Ranger, but since we just did the Quantum Ranger, I was like, well, that's you know, same techniques and everything. As far as the outline on the mask, you just want to take your time. Use the side of your brush as much as you can. And just understand that if you do get paint somewhere, that it's just paint and you can go back over it with something else. When I painted Time Force pink back in the day, I didn't quite understand how important the white outlines were as a distinction of these Time Force characters. So looking back on my Time Force Pink Ranger, she... her markings on her helmet are not they're not white. I painted them all silver. And you guys are so kind that you didn't correct me, so I went around thinking that that was correct. Which, I mean, in fairness, if you look at reference pictures, it does look like it could be silver, right? But now that I've been painting Time Force and I'm seeing just how important those outlines are as a statement for the character, a characteristic of this version of Ranger, I will definitely have to fix her when it comes around to it. That'll be one of the first things I do, is fix her helmet to match. Oh no, oh no. Dang. See, there's a boo-boo. It's alright, we'll fix it. Whew. I've not played anybody but Pink, no. Although, the feedback I've heard is that the Quantum Ranger is a lot of fun to use. I haven't heard much about the other characters, but... Alright. Going back to my original blue, which for those who missed it, is just Pro Acryl Blue. And I'm just going to go over the boo-boos that I just made. grabbing some more of that blue. Again, this is Pro Acryl Blue. I don't know if I've said that. I'm sure I have said that many times already, but just in case anybody is coming on board and they missed that part. During this part, especially the part where you're doing pieces like the visor and this arrow kind of thing on the chest, you want to make sure that you don't get the paint super close to the edges so that you can keep this really cool dark outline around the arrow. I don't know how much detailing I want to get into with only 30 minutes left. I mean, I want to go ham. I want to go ham on these details. You know, I used to think yellow was the worst too, and then I discovered the cheat code to yellow, and now I don't think yellow is the worst. I actually don't even mind painting yellow so much anymore. For green, it depends on what paint brand and color you're using. Warpstone Glow in particular, which is a very common green people use to paint Green Rangers in Power Rangers. That paint is really difficult to use in my experience, and in a lot of people's experience. It's just so transparent. It's just such a tough color to use. It really is. Oh, you're saying yellow is the worst color or to paint, or yellow is the worst color to use in the game? I should probably have specified what question I was asking. That's a really clean paint job. Good job, Louie. Good job. Nailed it today, boys and girls. And everything in between. So if you have the Pro Acryl line, the next kind of blue up is this sky blue. I'm going to grab just a smidgen of that. And I'm going to put a teeny tiny bit, maybe like off to the side here. That might be too much. Too much, Louie, too much. That might have been too much. I keep trying to put a little bit of light blue in there, and I just don't like the way it looks, so I'm going to not do that. I'm not going to keep messing with it, because you know what'll happen if I keep messing with it? I'm going to screw it up. Man, I'm so happy with the way the last two have come out. Like, these are really, really on point. I'm not super happy with the green. I don't hate it. I do need to do a little something to those swords real quick. What should I use? I'm going to grab silver from Pro Acryl. It is brighter than Lead Belcher. Not by much, but it is. Enough to tell a difference. I'm also grabbing a small dry brush. I'm going to just throw a tiny bit on my palette there. I'm just going to do some very light dry brushing here. Not really super happy with how these are going to end up turning out. I could continue to mess with them, but due to time left in the stream, I'm not going to get that chance. Maybe one day I could come back and revisit them, but they're just a little darker than I was wanting them to be, not as much detail. But in this particular situation, which really rarely ever occurs, I'm so happy with the way the actual miniature turned out that I can't really be bothered to feel I need to do much to these swords. If you're at home and you're like, nope, I need more, I just don't know, like, the effect that I want to give it is not really possible. I mean, I guess it kind of is a little bit, but it would take a while. So I'm just going to happily say, you know what? I really like how that turned out, and move on. Sometimes you're like, you know what? I really like the way it looks, and I really don't want to screw it up. So I'm just going to leave it alone. And that, folks, is all I got to say about that. And per Atomic Ninja G's request, if you'd like to see me paint the boot pink, stick around for the after show, where I paint everything in my room pink. The entry fee is only $35. I don't know where that number came from. It seems like a good amount to pay somebody to paint a whole room pink. There reaches a point when you're painting a miniature where you're like, you know what? I'm really happy with this. And then there's me. When I reach that point, I always push it a little bit further. And sometimes that push pays off. But 9 times out of 10, I should have listened to myself the first time I said to stop. Because I end up doing something that I either don't really like and I have to live with it, or I screw up and I have to fix something that I've screwed up. Neither option is really fun. gonna give that like painted pink with Daddy Louie. We'll let that set for just a second. Grab a swig. Oh no, if you want me to use my body as a brush, you have to pay way more than $35. Like $45 would be the minimum I would take for that. Alright, grabbing some of my original blue, that Pro Acryl blue. It's just such a nice color. Pretty painting in pink with Daddy Louie. Man, that shadowing on the back is fire. Although I didn't really do much here. It's too light. See what I mean? Like, this is exactly what I was just talking about. I was in a good place. I liked it a lot. And here comes silly old me. Oh, I should add a little something right there. Nope, you should have left it alone, dummy. Should have left it alone, silly boy. I was just saying it, wasn't I? Don't touch it. Although in this case it worked out, but it doesn't always work out. The Zordon Dice Tower is one of the most fun things I've ever painted. Two of my favorite things of all time that I've ever painted has come from Renegade, and that's one of them. The other one is the Megazord miniature. I would love to paint both on stream. I think they would be amazingly fun. Alright, I'm going to call that good, honestly. He looks pretty darn great. I'm not going to lie. Usually I'm like, oh, you know, it's pretty good. Blah, blah, blah. No, I'm giving credit where credit's due today. Man, those look fire. Fire! Alright. Where is that button? Right there. Alright. So we got a couple minutes left. 1 or 2 minutes left. I just want to take a moment and thank everybody who is watching the stream, both past and present. Anytime that you tune in to me means a lot to me. Because you could be anywhere else in the world, doing anything else in the world, and you chose to spend your time hanging out with me, watching me, chatting with me, and your fellow Renegaders and your fellow Power Ranger friends. So I really appreciate that. And thanks, as always, to Renegade for having me and allowing me to do this. It's the thing I look forward to every week, so I really appreciate it, or, you know, as often as I do it, I guess. So I really, really appreciate that opportunity and all of you guys tuning in. I do have a giveaway coming. It is Power Ranger stuff. So I have this thing that I loaded. Look at that. Boo! Right there up on screen. You see all that? That's all my social stuff. So if you follow me in all those places, plus here on Twitch at Circle of Nerds, you can find all of my painting and hobbying related stuff, not just Power Rangers. I'm looking over there so I can see where my hand is. Right here. Not just Power Rangers. You can find all my content here. This is where the giveaway will be. The giveaway is completely free, and depending on how many people we have participate in the giveaway, I'm going to give away 2 copies of Time Force and everything that came with that Time Force release. So you definitely want to stay tuned in all of those places. Make sure you like, follow, comment. There's a spider coming down from the ceiling. Like, comment, follow in all of those places. I would really appreciate it. Now let's make those go away. Is that it? Do I have anything else to talk about? Giveaway. Thank yous. I think that's it. I feel like there's something else, but I don't know what it is. So I'm just going to have to leave it like that. Did you get bitten? I don't know. It was coming down, man. That spider was coming down. All right. I got nothing else. I'm always awkward when I end these things because I don't know what else to say. Thanks for coming. I love you guys. Make sure you take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Play your games. Paint your miniatures. And I will see you next time. Boop. Outro. Where is it? Where's the outro? Bye.